first started, it was a dream for us Latinos to be able to work with Anglo artists. Look now, they're calling us. Justin Bieber called me, I didn't call him.
We're proud to be Latinos, and we're proud that we keep our sound, and we're proud to be getting this award tonight.
Your presence, your support, your curiosity, and your commitment is seen and deeply appreciated, so thank you. 100%. Thank you all.
Welcome to Latitude. We have a lot of entrepreneurs coming who are going to Shark Tank it a little bit.
Good afternoon, Facebook friends, family, familia, our L-BAN alumni and network. Good afternoon. I'm so glad you're joining us. My name's Jennifer Garcia. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Latino Business Action Network. We collaborate with Stanford Graduate School of Business to advance Latino entrepreneurship in this country. I would invite you all to introduce yourselves on the chat, share where you're tuning in from, where you're listening from. I would also invite you to visit our website to learn more about L-BAN and what we do. That is www.lban.us. Well, I'm really excited. I am joined by my friend Sol Trujillo, and him and I, we share roots from Mora, New Mexico, or as we might say, the suburbs of Mora, New Mexico. So I certainly have to give a shout out to our fellow New Mexicans and Chile Verde lovers out there that might be listening. But Sol is, to provide a proper and formal introduction, he is an international business executive, over 3 decades of experience as a CEO in large market cap global companies in the United States, in Europe, and in Asia Pac. Sol is also the chair and co-founder of the Latino Donor Collaborative and the founder of Latitude. So you all just saw that promo video for Latitude, and that's what we're about to talk about today. I want to set the stage really though. Latitude is a national conference taking place in San Diego next month, September 29th through October 2nd. And for all of you that were able to attend, I'm sure you can attest to this. I attended in 2019, and I was thoroughly impressed with the caliber of speakers on the center stage. And so I really just commend you for this. You convene leaders from different industries, highlighting the impact of Latinos and the opportunity of the Latino cohort. Do you want to just share a little bit? Actually, I want to ask you this very pointed question because I noticed that I heard it a lot in 2019 and since. And for those of you that visit the Latitude website today, you will see that it describes it as the largest gathering of the new mainstream Americans. You are certainly famous for coining the term new mainstream economy. So how about we start there, Sol? And in very simple terms, like, what does that mean? The new mainstream economy, the new mainstream Americans?
Well, I think about the new mainstream in a very simple way. When I'm a baby boomer generation. So when I was born, if you took a picture of the United States at that point in time, we were basically an analog economy. Everything was physical. We had manufacturing that was very physical process. Entertainment was delivered in a very, small format because it was very analogish. And then when we think about the profile of, who were the residents of the United States of America, it was probably close to 80% Anglo male female. And you fast forward now into the 21st century, and you now see a digital economy. Everything is digitized. That's called what I would call the 2 Ds. One is that we've digitized everything. And the second D is that demographics are dramatically different. And people do like to talk about demographics, but the point is that Latinos and Latinas are the drivers. So our economy is different, and there's a new mainstream of how we're doing things digitally and with who's driving it. And in the case of Latinos, they explain, you know, when people talk about people of color and they talk about diversity and they talk about all these things, 70% of that is Latino, Latina. And it's not that Latinos are a third or a fourth. They're 70% of all the growth, 70% of all net sales growth, they're 70% of about everything in that cohort. But now when you look at how we operate, when we're buying 52% of all new home mortgages, when we're creating 70% of all net retail sales growth, when we're talking about car sales that are almost 70% all tied to Latinos and Latinas. Last time I checked in third grade math, when you go above 50%, you're not minority. You are the leader. You are the market driver. You are the meros, as I like to say, in terms of our economy. So we're the drivers of the new mainstream economy. It's a new mainstream.
And I think that's important to note that it's a framework. It's a lens as to where you view the economy, where you view industries, where you view growth. And it's important for us as Latino and Latinas to recognize that, but it's also important for others to understand that as well. How about you share a little bit about the genesis of the conference, the Latitude Conference? Why did you choose to start that?
Well, that's a great question, because one of the things that we've had as Latinos and Latinas is that we are right before your eyes, all these things are happening and nobody knows it. You know, everybody that I talk to outside of Latino cohort, but even in the Latino cohort, they say, "De veras, really? Is that true? 70%, 52%, really?" And the answer is yes, but nobody talks about it and nobody shares it in a broader platform. So when I came back, I was living in Australia, running a big company in Asia Pac. I was watching our news back home, and I was seeing this legislation in Arizona. I was seeing this conversation about building walls, and one candidate was talking about building an electronic fence so that if anybody wanted to climb over a fence, they would be killed, electrocuted. I was saying, that's not my country. This is my country. My family's been here almost 500 years. And so when people talk about it's their country, or let's take back our country, this is our country, and we have as many claims to the longest roots. And I will go off on a tangent talking about that, so I won't. But the history of Latinos in this country is long, and it's longer than anybody other than the Native Americans. So when we think about this story, who's telling it? When you watch mainstream news, they aren't telling it, because they're talking about basically black and white. When you read periodicals, same thing. When you watch entertainment TV, we did studies at the Latino Donor Collaborative that basically showed that Latinos and Latinas, they were the least represented, and when I say represented, on screen behind every cohort, including Native American, believe that or not. And we have the data. We did a big data pool. So this is not opinion, it's not anecdotal, it's actually based on data. I'm a business person, so I only like to operate and draw conclusions off of real data. So the punchline about your question of why Latitude, Gary Acosta and I sat down one day and we talked about, there's no platform for us to talk about our beauty, our grace, our athleticism, our aptitude, our entrepreneurism, etc. So that's where we decided, Gary and I, to create this event called Latitude, where we set the agenda, we invite the players to do there, and basically we have the interactive conversations, but always featuring, in addition to the traditional players, the Latinos and Latinas that are players in our system, and the up-and-comers. And we have a portion of our event that's called Latin Next, NXT, whether it be in business or on screen or whatever, we're featuring that. This year, we're gonna have a big play around Latinas specifically, but not in a patronizing, let us males pat you on the head and say, look how good they are. No, no, no. We have some power players, that are going to be there. We're going to have power discussions. We're going to have, a feature on Latino entrepreneurs that are what I would call the disruptors. And somebody else had a different title for them that they suggested. But for family viewing, we thought we wouldn't use it. But I'll tell everybody here what it was, since this is a public kind of broadcast. And it was called Badass Latinas. And these are women that are just breaking all the rules. They're not asking for permission. They're fearless, all that sort of thing, because there's so many Latinas that are doing that, but they don't get the spotlight. They don't get the viewpoint. And what we also do then at Latitude is not only create the platform, but we have the Wall Street Journal, we have Barron's, we have MarketWatch, we have CNBC, we have MSNBC, we have Telemundo, and now Reuters and other major media are calling me and saying they want to be there. And we're going to have stories and reports every single day. Major stories, major reports talking about us as Latinos, as Americans, as I like to say, the mero meros driving our economy. And for those of you that don't speak Spanish, the mero meros are like the prime movers, the leaders, the drivers of an economy.
That's right. And I really do want to underscore that. I mentioned the caliber of people that I saw on center stage. And so what you're saying right now is that you're creating the platform, and it's creating the platform to create the narrative as well, to change the narrative. And it's a lot of the work that we do at LBAN in terms of changing the narrative around entrepreneurship. And I believe Latitude just does that in a variety of industries and levels. So fantastic ideas between you and Gary there. So what do we expect in 2021? What are some of the headliners for this year's conference?
Well, we're going to lead off the session with, as we do every session, and this is important for every person listening and every person not listening. We're going to lead off with a brand new Latino Donor Collaborative Latino GDP report. And that's our Bible, that's our economic factoid base about how big and how important the Latino cohort is. And so last study that was done said Latinos were the 8th largest economy in the world if they were a standalone economy. And they grew GDP, gross domestic product, 30% faster than China, 22% faster than India. So these, again, the middle growth cohort in the world in terms of driving GDP were Latinos, the US Latino cohort. Now we fast forward to this year. There's a new study that's being done by economists from Cal Lutheran and UCLA, who are economists that are part of the survey group of the Wall Street Journals and others. So they're all certified, well-known kinds of people. And we're going to have a new study, and I want everybody to be there to see it live, to hear it unveiled, because it's going to be even more powerful. So the way I like to think about it is, when you see that GDP report, it's like the family photo. It's like the brand new family photo of the US Latino cohort in America. And it's telling the story about how tall they are, how fast they are, how high they can jump, how smart they are, how good at dancers they might be, or whatever it might be in terms of the element here. And that's really the truth, because the data, and you're going to always hear me say data, the data is what supports it. And that's also why we started LBAN. And that's why we started the program at Slade, because we wanted to bring data to the conversation. And then for those that wanted to be great entrepreneurs and they wanted some nurturing, they wanted some Stanford certificate stamp of approval that says, look, we've gone through the program there. These are all the things that are part of this story and the networking that all Latinos and Latinas in this country should be doing. And all of that's part of Latitude. So big names, Bob Chapek from Disney, Brian Moynihan from Bank of America, the CEO of Home Depot, the CEO of Cisco, the CEO of AT&T, the CEO of PayPal, the CEO, I can go on and on. But you can all get the view that these people are coming. I've invited them, and they're coming to have a conversation about everybody in the country about the U.S. Latino cohort. Not to talk about diversity, not to talk about people of color, not to talk about Afghanistan. They're there to talk about the new mainstream economy and the role that Latinos are playing, the men and women in this cohort.
I like how you describe the report as your family portrait. I remember in 2019 when that report was released, it really was a sense of pride to hear the contributions and the impact that Latinos make in the overall economy. And for me personally, that may have been the first time I saw some of those statistics, and it was really encouraging. Certainly within my network, I saw those memes and that factoid being shared over and over on social media. So again, thank you for being a leader in that type of research for the general Latino impact in the Latino segment.
But Jennifer, if you would allow me one more statement.
Yes,
and
please.
The reason why it's important is for all of us that are in that cohort that can look and say, look how good we look. Look how important we are, how critical we are. That's us. Then you look at the non-Latino portion of our economy. They should feel equally great and proud of this cohort being part of our country. And the simple reason is that if you look at Japan, they've had a stagnating economy because they never thought about allowing immigrants into their country. Now they're recruiting, they're paying people to come into the country because they need the talent there. When you look at Europe, they became stagnant. They're very low growth economies because they're all mature. If you pulled the Latino cohort out of our numbers at the national level, our country would look like Europe. Very low, slow growth economy. And the good news is we're not. And one of the driver variables, one of the primary driver variables is the Latino cohort, because it's youthful, it's the most productive cohort, it's the most entrepreneurial cohort, and right now they're getting educated and matriculating on into college at a rate higher than any other cohort. So as I like to say, ¿qué más quieres?
Yeah. That's fantastic. I want to just say to our audience that's tuning in live, we are going to have a few moments for question and answer. So if you have your questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We're speaking with Sol Trujillo here about Latitude, which is coming up in next month at the end of September. So as you know, you sit on our board. A lot of the L-BAN's following are entrepreneurs, and we have entrepreneurs from every industry represented here. I really want to ask you, what would be the message for individuals and for companies, entrepreneurs who are perhaps non-tech, non-entrepreneur, non-real estate professionals? Why should they be attending Latitude?
Well, first of all, I know when I was young in my career, and this is my generation, when a Jack Welch was speaking somewhere and I could go and learn from a Jack Welch, right? Or some of the key people that turned around IBM, right? Lou Gerstner, and some other great CEOs from when I was young in my career. I could learn, because the one thing about leaders, they never know enough. They're always curious. And you always want to learn from those who know more than you do, right? Nobody is born with complete knowledge. So what I wanted to do with Latitude is I wanted to bring these people to an event where they could hear them firsthand. They can sit in the audience and experience the interaction that the person and I are going to have in terms of a fireside chat. And then we're going to open it up for questions. And people are going to be able to ask questions. And if they don't get them answered live, they're going to get them answered because they can ask these questions. We're going to have some polling and surveying to be very interactive. And so, the idea here is that if I'm a person that wants to keep on getting better I want to know more, regardless of what sector of the economy I work in. This is the place, and to experience it. Now we're intermixing entertainment, and we've got other things that are going to be really cool. We haven't announced some things, but I'll share one name, that's going to be there. There's on the sports side, we're going to have this guy named Canelo, who is the most famous boxer in the world, and he's doing great things in a philanthropic way, while at the same time putting himself in the category as one of the greatest boxers of all time. We're going to have other entertainers, we're going to have celebrities, we're going to have other people that are part of it. But to your question, again, it's about learning, always learning. And then it's about, we're creating this year an event called Matchup. And for those that are entrepreneurs, I wanted to make sure, because I've heard the stories about how hard it is, and I've seen the data, by the way, and how hard it is for Latinos and Latinas to get access to capital. Well, we've created a fund called Latitude Ventures, where this year I want to fund 20 companies, ranging from $250,000 investments all the way up to $1 million, and maybe if there's a unicorn or two, a little more than that, so that people can have a friendly place to come in and show their business case, compete, just like in any other, place where you'd seek capital, but it's very friendly, because the people that are making the decisions are named Blanco and Trujillo and Acosta, and not the people that people are used to. And when we fund some of these companies, we want to network with them. We want to support them. We want to help them get connections. We want to help them get visibility. And at Latitude, given the business media, given the other media that are there, we want these people to have access to that platform. So we're creating this platform for Latinos and Latinas. So if I'm an entrepreneur, I should be there. If I need capital, I should be competing for that capital. And it's going to be a fun process. It's a friendly environment. If you're into entertainment, this is the place where you can make deals. You can get access to people that you normally wouldn't. If you're, in a corporate world, this is the place where you're going to get to see some of the biggest name CEOs in the world that are going to share their insights. They're going to share their perspective. Because right now, everybody is looking at this cohort. And part of the reason is because they've been to Latitude, and they have to be prepared when they're on stage in a fireside chat to talk about Latinos, Latinas. And then if you're there on Saturday of the event, you're going to see so much, so powerful, so uplifting about Latinas, not in a patronizing way, but based on what they're doing, how they're taking market share, how they're leading their sectors. So whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're an entrepreneur or working in a big company, and whether you're, just looking to be educated, there's so many elements here that would say that you should be there. Because I know we're constructing this, and I know it's a bit biased, but as a leader, the one thing I learned is the more you know, the more advantage you have. The less you know, the less advantage you're going to be able to deploy.
Absolutely. So you mentioned something that I really want to make sure we emphasize, especially to our audience here. We work a lot at L-BAN with access to capital and access and opening doors to VCs. And you mentioned Matchup. Matchup is the event within the Latitude conference where entrepreneurs can come and pitch their business for, as you described, friendly capital. I want to make sure that our audience is hearing this, that now is the time to apply for Matchup. If you are raising money, now is the time to visit the website and apply. I would also recommend, if you know of other people out in your own network who are looking to raise capital, again, share this video with them. Make sure that they're familiar and aware of this opportunity that will be taking place in September. Let me ask you, Saul, for companies that may fall outside of the criteria that you would be looking for, within Latitude Ventures and Matchup specifically, are there other opportunities that you might want to highlight for them that will be taking place at the conference?
Well, yeah. First of all, we are inviting other sources of funds to be there, because we it's not just Latitude Ventures. We're trying to create that friendly place, but we want to attract other funds to be there so that they get to see the companies. And let's say Latitude Ventures invests in one of them, but that doesn't mean another company cannot invest, because we want to enable. We're trying to be enablers, for everybody that is looking to take their company to another level. But then there's going to be some of the coaching. We're going to have some breakout sessions. We're going to have some other things. And I know that you at L-BAN are looking to do some breakouts, while the alums or future alums might want to participate in understanding how, when you think about the educational acumen, the business, the Stanford stamp of this is how you should learn about business and running your business, etc., and the networking that you've been able to do at L-BAN. I mean, I want people to see the kind of data that are generated out of L-BAN that I get to see when each of your cohorts finishes the class, beforehand and after, and then seeing their growth, when they pass 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from their experience. And it's a networking. It's the networking, which we have never been, as a community, as a cohort, been great at. And what we're trying to do is bring everybody together, everybody to share, so that the networking can occur.
Absolutely. So just to underscore and reiterate, this is an event, this is a conference that you want to attend. You don't want to miss it. I can't really highlight enough how important that networking is. You never know what kind of doors will be opened, what type of connections will be made. Just in the passing from one session to the next, you never know who you'll be interacting with and engaging with. All right, I do have one question here that I gotta ask. We're certainly in a time of travel restrictions, ever-changing environment. What should people expect in terms of being in an in-person event in San Diego? What precautions are you recommending, and what precautions could we see at the conference?
I'm glad you asked, because Gary and I have talked very explicitly, and Emilio, about the protective coding that we want to have for anybody that's there. So we are going to be mask requiring. We are going to require proof of vaccination, and if not, we are going to be providing on-site testing, so that people, before you can register, you've got to have your either proof of vaccination or you get tested, and we're paying for it. Okay, so that everybody feels comfortable. It's a great experience. Everybody's safe. And then, as the distancing requirements that are required by the state and the local communities, and even the hotel, we will comply with all the above. And it'll be the safest environment anybody's going to go into, bar none, because we're going to have all the protocols, because we think about everybody that's going to be there as familia. And so we all know how protective we can be about familia. And what Gary and Emilio and I want to make sure is that you feel that you're there with familia.
Thank you. Thank you for thank you for going the extra mile on that. Thank you for saying how important it is to protect the community, to protect the familia. I appreciate that. We are coming to our close, but it's really important. There's a couple things that we need to do before. I want to make sure that our audience understands that there's 2 opportunities to register here. Certainly registering for the conference itself. We talked about, the whole conversation was related to the conference, but we did not tell you about the discount code. So for all of you listening, for the L-BAN alumni and familia, we do have a discount for you. It's really easy, L-B-A-N, L-BAN. We'll put that in the chat. Make sure you register. That will get you 20% off your discount, your ticket. The other application is if you are a business that is seeking capital, if you're raising capital, take a look and visit Latitude Ventures. You'll find that right on the Latitude page. We'll put it in the chat as well. Make sure you apply, submit your application today as soon as possible, because we want to make sure that you get all the opportunities applicable. Now, Let me make one other plug for all companies out there that are not part of the L-BAN network yet. I want to make sure you are aware of our upcoming scaling program. This is a Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Scaling Program. It starts October 6th. Even for our alumni, if you are listening, tag another person. We want to make sure that we reach as many Latino and Latina entrepreneurs to participate in our program. It is a phenomenal program at Stanford where you get to connect with and grow with like-minded businesses from across the country. So if that is you, visit our website, submit your application, and get ready to transform your business to a whole new level. Sol, any final parting words?
No, I just echo what you said, about L-BAN, the SLAY program. It is unique. It's producing results, so that if I'm an up-and-coming entrepreneur and I want to hone my skills and get more capabilities up here and thinking about operations and networking with others, it's the place to go. And then obviously at Latitude, we're networking, right? L-BAN, SLAY, Latitude, LDC, all of that. We're beginning this process of networking across all the Latino organizations, because when we network, it's what, those of you that have taken your basic math, it affords a compounding effect as opposed to just an additive, linear kind of equation. And we are growing. Our responsibility to our economy and our country is so big and so great and so important. The more we can do, the better off we're going to be as a country, as a community, and as individuals in their personal lives with their family. We have the data from Stanford, the Stanford work, that shows that, the average incomes of Latinos that have become entrepreneurs versus those that haven't is dramatically different. Their families benefit, and it accrues to the whole, continuation with your kids and those of you that have grandkids. You change the lives, and we contribute in a broader sense. So I thank you, Jennifer, for having me. I'm very proud of you and the whole team, Elian and Victor and Dr. Porras and all the people that have been involved from the beginning to date, because you're making a difference. And we want to just keep on enabling and fine-tuning everything that we do as community, as Latinos, and as Americans.
Indeed, echo that. And thank you, Sol. Thank you for your time. Thank you for serving as a board member for L-BAN, and thank you for your leadership in all the different facets that you're leading to elevate the Latino community. So pleasure speaking with you. Again, thank you all for joining us live or in the recording. We hope to see you at Latitude. There's your 20% discount code. And for all entrepreneurs, please visit lban.us so you can learn more about our organization and the scaling program as well. And with that, we'll sign off and see you in San Diego next month.
All right. See you all.
Bye-bye.